So we've been in Pakistan for about a week, and ever since just before our arrival, there's been a pretty shocking new wave of violence, from the attack on the police academy in Lahore to an army checkpoint in Islamabad, um, the Shia mosque in Punjab, riots in Balochistan, and the murder of some aid workers in the north in Mansehra. But surprisingly, all these incidents combined haven't elicited as big of a response from the Pakistani public and from the media as this one video of a 17-year-old girl being flogged by the Taliban in the SWAT Valley. This video was released a couple days after we got here, and it's been playing pretty steadily on the news ever since that time. It's pretty visually dramatic and, of course, very politically meaningful because the incident took place in the SWAT Valley, where the government has made a peace agreement with the militants, allowing them to essentially impose Islamic law in exchange for peace. There's some contention about when the video was actually shot. Now it sounds like it may have been shot before the peace agreement. But regardless, the public outcry against the flogging and the video has been pretty huge. There have been a string of protests around the country in reaction. You can see some clips here that we shot at a protest in Karachi. This was a women's protest organized by the political party MQM. And all over Karachi, people have hung black flags symbolizing their opposition to the flogging, to the Taliban. And they've even hung effigies of the Taliban, sometimes with little plastic guns attached even. But what's really interesting about the reaction is that the flogging, taken in the context or in comparison to the rest of the violence that's become a pretty much daily occurrence in Pakistan in recent months, you wouldn't think it would be such a big deal. It's become this sort of viral video that's a more visceral testament to the realities of extremism than I think most people in Pakistan have seen with their own eyes before this time. Even generous estimates put literacy in the country below 50%, and most people obviously don't have TVs in their homes. So I think that news reports about bombings and shootings typically don't make so much of an impression. A short few-line story in the newspaper, especially in the English medium newspaper, is not going to reach most people, or at best it's going to reach them by word of mouth. But it seems like everybody has seen this video, and they're really reacting against it. There seems to be a wave of fear that this kind of extreme government could spread outside of the northwest of Pakistan and spread to other parts of the country, to the point that it now looks like the peace agreement is going to actually fall apart because of public outcry against it, brought about essentially by this video. In the U.S., we sort of take our information revolution for granted, that we'll have access to any and all the media that we want, and it's just sort of up to our choice. But I think we really underestimate what a single, grainy video like this can do to galvanize the public in a place like Pakistan. And that brings me to another video that we saw yesterday, which is not something we Americans typically would have access to. We traveled to Peshawar to meet with a friend from the last time we were here in Pakistan. His organization is tracking all of the violence that's taking place in the tribal areas and in SWAT. And the extent of that violence is absolutely startling. We're talking about hundreds of civilian fatalities each month, and hundreds of thousands of people fleeing from these areas to refugee camps. This is essentially an all-out war between militants and the Pakistani military. I don't think that these realities have really hit home for anyone in the U.S., or even for most people in Pakistan. This is a massive humanitarian tragedy going on, that's probably unparalleled around the world right now. Because of how dangerous these areas are, media coverage of the events has been really limited, and few people have seen the kind of images that we saw yesterday of dead and defiled bodies, including the bodies of children, rockets being fired, shootouts in the streets, explosions, and even worse things that I hesitate to even describe here. The visual reality of the violence that's taking place is really insane. Ironically, it appeared that a lot of the footage that we saw in this video yesterday was actually shot by the militants as propaganda to promote their cause. And I'm pretty sure that the video of the flogging that's now been released was originally filmed for that purpose as well, to sort of show that this is what we're doing, this is what our justice looks like. But as disturbing as it is, I think that until people in Pakistan and the U.S. have the opportunity and the courage to face some of these images of what's going on, in tribal areas and in NWFP and just how brutal the violence there is, we're really not going to be able to fully understand it and to mobilize national and international energy to actually find a way to stop it.